What's going on, y'all? We back at it. Ron Pittman, Jessica Lettieri, Coastal Concierge. We're back.
We are.
Where are we at? Episode 4. Whoa, episode 4. Can you believe this year has just been crazy?
It's been an exciting year.
It has been absolutely amazing.
Fun.
I mean, to think about it, this time last year, I was sitting in the office by myself. Just little old me, just out here getting it.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see. When'd you come? February?
We
started rocking?
We started, you and I.
We started rocking in February. And now, 11 months later, we're what? 8 deep on the squad?
We are.
Right?
I forgot for a second. No, it's awesome to see the growth.
It is.
And I'm really excited.
I think right now, just as we're getting ready to go into the new year, I'm in a real reflective place right now, and I think I always do that.
But that's what you
I'm
do at the end of the
evening.
year.
Yeah. So just thinking about where we came from, where we're going. We talking about this year. I mean, let me see. I'm going on what 10 years in the business.
Right.
Next June, and fortunately for me, I mean, I've been here the whole 10 years. Well, not technically here. We weren't always here. We started out, so I totally forgot.
What?
We got something new today. So this month's episode.
You can't surprise me. What are we doing?
Oh, you want to bet? Well, check
okay.
this out. So this month's episode is actually being brought to you by First Class Real Estate. Check that out. We got a sponsor this month, right?
Moving on up.
Oh yeah. So First Class Real Estate, we're basically there building people's businesses by building people, and I would say that's pretty spot on when it comes to this. Look at me. Like I said, 10 years. Gosh, and I told this story before. I didn't even want to be in real estate. I don't even know how I got here. Sometimes I look back and say,
I think I do.
How did I get here?
I think you might be sitting in this room.
Oh, okay. You're leading them on a little bit, but no. So got this show is this probably be my favorite episode ever. Might even get a little bit emotional. Somebody once told me I get
a little teary-eyed.
I'm a little emotional at times.
That's
and
good.
I think it's actually our guest, so we'll get to that. But just like I said, I've told this story before. I kind of fell into real estate by accident. It was just
really.
I was working at a company, a sales company, and had a buddy reach out to me. And look, when he first reached out, I was like, we'll see. So, but.
So you weren't on a board at first?
Well, I wasn't ready. I think I was a little bit scared. I was a little hesitant. I had family, just trying to figure out. I was trying to figure out where I was at, what I was doing with my life. I was still 29 years old. So
you're still young. And it's scary, taking that step into the unknown.
It is. And it's funny, though, because I think society conditions us to say that, oh, you're almost 30. How come you don't have it figured out?
Right.
And I kind of fell into that at that point. But now I'm realizing, you're still really young. I got children that are in college and getting ready to be in their 20s.
That's crazy.
So that's crazy enough.
I'm not ready for that.
So
no.
I don't know, man. This whole thing, just watching this, it's just amazing. Like I say all the time, just like sometimes just God is so good, because who would have thought? Like I said, not only 10 months ago,
I
man.
Know, I know.
Did you think we'd be here having this conversation right now?
No, I did not.
I mean,
I'm really excited that we are, though. And I think it's great that you have developed something that is the culture that I think people are looking for, and we have a really solid team in place.
You know what? And people ask me that all the time, but like I tell them, like, I'm not reinventing the wheel. All I'm doing is doing what I came up in.
Right.
I think I've been blessed because I think in this industry we have a lot of people who move around and jump companies and 4 or 5, 6 companies. I've been in the same company for this whole 10 years. Well, technically not the same company. We started out at Remax and then grew, into where we're now, First Class Real Estate.
But most agents don't do that. I think their lifespan at a company is about 2 years.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Oh, and full disclosure, I know we are being sponsored by First Class Real Estate. Our brokerage is First Class Real Estate, so let's just put that out there for anybody who may not know. So we are the Coastal Concierge Group, but we are a team and we are powered by First Class Real Estate. So Man, it's just crazy, this year. So now when you got into it, what made you jump into it? I know why I got into it. Basically my man was like, yo, I need you.
Right.
Done.
Right.
Let's go.
Yeah, let's do this.
So
I took real estate classes in college.
You were a real estate major?
No, I was not a real estate major.
I was going to say, you majored in
but
real
I
estate?
could take real estate classes and you could get your license. So I was studying finance at the time, but I was like, let me take these real estate classes. And I was like, I might as well go get my license. And I thought, oh, let me go sell some real estate at like 20 years
you were
old.
like, what, 20?
I was 20.
How was that?
It was interesting. It was, I had no idea what I was doing, what to expect.
At 30, I had no idea what I was doing.
But I learned a lot. My first company I worked for was Howard Hanna in Pennsylvania. So this was.
Oh, hold on, Howard Hanna. It was Howard Hanna back then.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, all right, because I know we have Howard Hanna here, but it wasn't always. I don't even remember.
They
what it
used
was.
to be William. Well, they were part of William E.
William E. Wood.
Yeah,
That's
right.
what it was.
But
yeah.
Anyway, no, Howard Hanna was a franchise. So started there and. This was before there was like the MLS. We would get updates every day on homes and just like a book.
Okay.
Yeah. But I learned a lot. I did learn a lot then. And it was an interesting time. You can't really sell real estate full time and be in college full time. It was a little difficult.
Yeah.
But it did get my foot, I think, in the door. And, fast forward, I'm not going to say how many years. But I'm still, doing
still
it.
in
So,
it.
Yeah.
Still rocking
yeah.
it. Still, doing your thing. I love it. Like I said, you brought, it's crazy, like I said, because you just came in, you were agent. We had no idea what you would actually bring to the table for the company. It's people come in and it's almost like they go to Jessica and Jessica, what do you think? What do I do? How do I do this?
It's because I'm a good listener. That's
You're
why.
a good listener. Okay. You
That's why
are.
people come to me.
You are. I'll say that because I know I probably whine to you a whole bunch. But you listen.
Yeah.
You never
I'm
turn
happy
your way
to.
in. So
it's something
all
I
good.
feel like I'm good at. So
yeah. No, it's crazy. It's actually funny. I've had a lot of people reach out to me and inquire about how do you get into real estate? How'd you get into this?
Yeah.
I
feel like everybody asks that. Every day, somebody's always saying, "Oh, I want to do real estate." I'm like, "Do you really?"
I know, right?
Are you
Because look,
sure?
it is not easy.
Let's talk
it looks
about
easy,
this. Yeah.
but it's a little bit tough. But the good thing is now, actually, first class real estate. You can actually come here and go to school and get your license.
Right. Yeah.
So they do classes. Actually, I think the next class will be January 21st.
Okay.
So I know a lot of people. New year, new me. That whole
Right.
thing. I need a switch. So if somebody is thinking about it, all you got to do is, reach out to us, leave a comment in the comment section
Right.
below. And we,
Well, and I think that's the easy part is
for sure.
going to a class, doing the studying.
Man, real estate class keeps you out of jail.
Right.
But yeah, the
The
learning
hard
is in
part
the doing.
is after that
Oh,
and
absolutely.
figuring out,
Absolutely.
what is going to be the best fit for you.
Yeah, no,
and
I
your career,
agree.
because not every company is the best fit for every agent. It depends on what's important to them.
Yeah. So, and I'm not even jumping on you because I know you're one of those. You've been at a few different companies and things like that. What made you come to first class?
The biggest thing,
Because it was first class when you came over,
it was
right?
first class
Okay.
when I came over, a little over 3 years ago, I guess. Was culture for me. I wanted a company that, systems were set up. They had them set up so you could succeed. And, I came from a great company that taught me well and provided all the tools I needed. But for me, first class offered that culture environment. And I mean, I look at so many of the agents and the people here as, like family.
Yo, going back and thinking about, you saying that, because I remember when I first started, it was maybe 5 of us. I don't even think the room was this big. I think it was
Right. Well,
maybe
when I came
corner
over,
of the
there was
room.
maybe 30 or 40 agents.
30 or 40. I remember
that was
when
only
it was,
3 years ago.
What,
so.
it was 5 of us? 5 or 6 of us? And our
are we
team
up
leader
to?
at the time, I think we're 250, something
over
like
250?
that. I don't know. So I don't know.
I'm trying to
it's grown and it has been absolutely crazy. I remember it was a small amount. We actually had one of our guys sitting in like the broom closet or something like this. So, but no, just to watch the growth. We started out as that small team. We were at Remax at the time. Eventually broke out on our own, and gosh, it's crazy, man. I looked. I remember it was like 10 when it was 10 of us. I was like, man, it's getting a little different, But it worked out, Luckily, our team leader at the time was able to see down the road way past where the rest of us were. And when I was on the team, they encouraged us to go out and go be independent, do your thing, and eventually grow your team. I you know what? I specifically saying I don't ever want to grow a team.
Look at you.
Everything I said I didn't want to do. It was funny because we're going to introduce our guest here today. Yeah. But I was talking to him at the beginning of the year, and I was like, yeah, I think I may just want to have 4 agents and myself to be 5. He was like, really? That's it? I thought I was doing something when I said that.
Right.
He was like, that's it?
It's not enough. You got to do more.
Of course, he always pushes me, out of my comfort zone. I hate it. Sometimes I, want to grab him, but we don't do that anymore. But we go way back. So, actually, since we're already on there, let's just get into it, getting ready to bring on our guest. I have actually known him since we were, gosh, I can't even remember.
Like
13,
babies.
14, something like that.
You were young.
We played football together, baseball, basketball, after school. He's the one who actually brought me into this. Right. He reached out one day and plucked me off the little truck I was driving, delivering people dirty uniforms and mats. Thank the Lord that he called me. Because if I would have still been doing that, I would have been a grumpy old man right now.
Well, he's the reason I came over here.
Really?
As well. Oh, yeah. I remember meeting with him.
I didn't know that.
And it wasn't even, when I first started, it was after I started. You want to be working for a company where people actually care. At least I do. Yeah. That's important to me. Absolutely. That's the whole thing about the culture. And I remember being in a really bad car accident. And do you know who was texting me, calling me while I was in the hospital? Was this person to make sure I was okay and if there was anything I needed.
How come I'm just now hearing about all this?
It's been a while. I forgot about this. I had no idea. Yeah. So, that says a lot about someone when they truly care about the people.
Well, look, y'all, this one's special. Yes. This one's special.
I'm excited.
Like I said, he's just my friend. He's always going to be my friend, always one of my best friends, if not the best friend. What I tell y'all, I might get a little emotional. But
are you going to cry?
No, not them. No,
should I get the tissues?
No, I'm not crying. You're crying.
I'm not crying.
But no, I mean, just to see where he's come from, he's amazing father, amazing husband, went from team leader to broker. Now he's owner, franchise owner.
I love his story.
It's so amazing. Yeah. So let's just get right in it, y'all. Let's go ahead and welcome Rhyan Finch to the show.
Yay! Look,
I gotta get up for this one. Come on, man.
Get over here.
Come on, man. Yo, this one is special right here. Right. This one's special.
All right, have a seat.
All right. So look, now that I got that out, everybody there. Rhyan.
So can I just open up our computer and look at whatever I want?
You do whatever you want to do, man. You do whatever you want to do anyway, right?
All right.
There's no such thing as rules. Man, we were just talking about how far we've come. Dude, can you believe this, man?
It's crazy. It's crazy.
Can you believe it? It's like, like I said, I know you've always just been my homie. Look, I'm getting emotional, y'all. I can't help it, man. Just to look at this dude, like I remember he used to ride on the handlebars on my bike. You know what I mean?
That was fun times.
We had a great time. Let me ask you this. What made you get into I know why I got into business. What made you get into business?
So I was on a church softball team, and Lonnie was on the team, and I saw him drive up in this Cadillac Escalade, and I had my daughter. I was kind of going through a divorce, and I was like, I'm not going to be able to pick her up from doing a plumbing job out in Norfolk. 4:00, I'm all dirty, dropping her off, and it's dark outside, and I was like, this isn't going to sustain. So I jumped straight in.
That's awesome. So I know when I first got in, it was a little bit tough for me trying to figure it out. Luckily, I did have people like you and some other people who were working with us at the time. What did you do when you were first starting? Like, how did you get it going?
I had to change the way I looked at myself. And what that means, I had to change the way that everybody else saw me too. So as a plumber, I'm wearing jeans and wife beater type shirts, and I had to go, you're gonna have to put on a suit. I never wore a pair of jeans basically the first 2 years into the industry.
Okay, I was gonna say I got jeans on today, y'all, but I'm close to 10 years. So
but yeah, that was a long time ago too. So
Yeah.
back then it was different, because
Yeah.
this was in 2006,
Okay.
And so that was it was a different time in that point. But we got a different culture of people coming into the industry now, and even the people that are buying and selling are they're different.
Yeah,
they don't look
10
at
years makes
tattoos are acceptable now. Jeans are acceptable.
You got a little thing poking out.
Yeah, well, I mean, I got in. I had this tattoo on my arm, and I really got it when I had the dream of getting into real estate. I said, well, I'll do this, and this will keep me out of corporate America. I mean, that's how dumb I was thinking back
Right?
then. It was like to kill the dream. I was trying to kill my dream.
Isn't that crazy how people will just like
Sabotage.
sabotage themselves?
That's right. Yeah, I was trying to do it.
You're so scared of being great that you'll do things that prevent you from being great.
Well, then I could get the teeter-tottering and tossing back and forth out of my mind. And, but the other part of it is then once you commit and you go after it, then it's like a freight train of trying to stop you, and that's really what you're trying to get going is that momentum, the big mo. Darren Hardy talks about it and compound effect of that. I read that later, but it's an interesting thing. You can look back on it. So whenever someone tells you something, you kind of look at it as a principle. You want to look back on it and say, is it true? Can I see that in my life? And that was one of those things I did.
I got you. You mentioned building momentum in a freight train. So when I came on, you were actually building that freight train. This is when 2010 market was down. You had just caught the big REO account. For those of y'all don't know, REO is real estate owned, bank owned properties, foreclosures. And you said, hey, I remember you told me verbatim, I got this big REO account coming and I need people who can hustle. It's like, I need you. So I came in, I learned it, the first year, just kind of got my feet wet. And then I got into REO, and you said it to me. You was like, man, it's like shooting fish in a barrel. And it was. I mean, we were getting, 30, 40 assignments every month.
But we were dependent on them.
Yeah.
And that's what we found out later. We had a job instead of a business,
Yeah.
So we needed to create our own destiny.
I remember that, too.
But the principles didn't change. The listings coming in, the leads coming in, owning the listing market, generated the buyers, attracted the agents. All of that's what we learned. And then we just realized there's more than one way to do that in ways we can control.
That's funny because I was actually getting ready to ask you that because we went in, we were rocking for a few years. And then, I think I had my son, and 4 days later, it all got ripped from us, What was that like when it went away and how were you feeling?
Yeah, it felt like robbery. It felt like, because what we did is we made the sales rep the number one rep in the country when they gave us the account because we really met the numbers that were needed. But because of our expansion and growth, they basically, I'm not going to use the word I would normally use, but passed us around to other reps so they could bring their numbers up so they could get bonuses. But then when the upper management finds out about it, they're like, no, you can't do that. You can't have every deal in 12 states coming back and paying a guy in Virginia, right?
Yeah.
And so they didn't like that. Then we ended up becoming an outsourced company in their mind, and they were like, we can't do it. We're a government agency. It's more political than it is what makes sense. And so they did it, and I was like, well, it's their business. They can do it, and really just had to pick up our bootstraps and go. And that's how business is, right? I mean, you go, and then something comes and disrupts it, and you got to keep going and keep going and keep going. And that hadn't stopped. That still happens today, so you got to keep doing it.
Yeah. It's crazy, though, because when we were going through it, I was scared to death. I had just done a whole lot of new things. I had been in this 2 years, and all of a sudden I felt like, wow, all the bottom dropped out. Like, we failed, but we really didn't fail.
Well, that was the platform. That was the setup. Because see, what I did is I saved all that money for the next level. I knew it was coming. I knew it wouldn't last forever. It never lasts forever. So you always got to plan for the future. But what it also did is allow the cream to rise to the top. There's some people that were there. They ain't here anymore.
Oh, it's a whole,
right?
We've seen a lot.
And now they miss the opportunities that are today because when they thought they were there for the opportunity that was there, you realize there was no loyalty. And see, and that's the story of what this goes on with us is, we were 26 years ago, and all these years in business, and where you've come from starting here to going to what you're doing right now, that's because of loyalty. And I always tell everybody, loyalty has dividends. And my job in this, you mentioned, I was listening when you guys were talking earlier, is to be out in front, but not just to do the picture, but it's kind of like I'd ask you questions, and the question you would answer what your answer was, but your brain would go back and solve that problem later to go, yeah, that is my answer, but that's not the answer I want it to be. And so being able to see further along allows you to ask the question that leads to that, to give the vision of building your team and going to that. And my job was to keep doing it. We couldn't have a team when we were at Remax, right? Yeah. You couldn't have left without leaving the culture of what we had. So we had to go open the next chapter to do that. And now that's the same thing we're doing with the franchise, going, the next team people are going to roll out to the franchise model. So that way we can still keep doing what we're doing, and you just move to the next level of it. But you got to grow to the next level. You know, you mentioned being on the team. Like, I don't want to do that, you know, and then you go out on your own. Okay, that's great and all. Well, now it's time to build a team. I don't really want to. And then you start doing it. And then you're like, yeah, I want a couple. Well, you know, you're being selfish because you're trying to manage this little bit. If you're going to do it, you might as well do it to where you're affecting more people and helping them. So.
No, it's right. And it took me a little while to understand that and get that, but when it clicked. So let me ask, when did it click for you that you were on to something?
Which part? What do you mean?
Just all of it. I mean, you just finding that vision, because originally, like I said, we were a team, and I remember it was like day and night. You know, one day we were this team of 15 doing REO. The next thing I know, you were telling me this stuff like, I want to grow. We're going to grow. We're going to go to 150 people. We're going to go into 5 states. And again, I'm in the corner like,
yeah, right.
Okay. Yeah, right. Like, what?
Some people have a good talk game, right? They can dream up a good plan and, you know, hey, here's how we're going to do it. And you're going to walk into a basketball game, say, yeah, we're going to win this game. We're going to win the championship. And you're going, but at the end, you ain't doing it, right?
Yeah,
so you got to come up with that roadmap and that plan. And so what happens is the first part's the vision, the plan, the what you want to do. The next part is how are you going to get there? And then you got to break it down. And in most cases, it takes looking back. So like I ask people, you know, in their business plan, they say, whatever, they want to do $5 million this year. And I'm like, okay, how many did you do last year? Oh, I did $1 million. Well, that's going to be probably challenging, or it's going to take a lot of challenge to change. Or you can ask them and they say, I don't know what I did last year. Well, where did that number come from? So you have to have a basis to figure out where you're going to go, you know. And so, you know, when you talk about that, I still remember, it's funny, when you were saying something, I pictured us. Remember we were in the first little podunk office we were in, and on the board, we had that board that was over there by where Heather's desk was, right? That board. And we had like 3 million for the month. That was our whole team volume at one point, 3 million. And I was looking at, I had Shayla, you know, because Shayla's here now. I had her do a dashboard for me to look at it for this year because I had no idea how much we did this year. It really wasn't a part of the equation. I was like, we're going to hit 1,500 transactions and $300 million in sales volume. 3 million to 300 million in that period of time. I was like, that is crazy. We have 2 more states signing on this month, and we probably have 2 more states signing on in January. So we'll add 4 more states and probably about almost 45 people in that, and that's just in what we're adding, not counting what you guys are doing and adding and growing and the momentum. It's crazy,
man. It's amazing. So with that being said, what's it like looking just at the evolution of the company? I know, like you said, you got to look back. Like, what is that feeling when you look back over it? And
you know, it's a short glimpse. It's weird. You just say you get to the end of the year and you look back on it, you go, okay, and now what do you got to do? Boom, look straight the other way. Now you're looking at 2020. So you went back and you looked at that, and now you look at 2020, and I'm like, I'm not stopping to look back and figure all that out. I'm like, I still have a job to do. I got off call to come in here. I'm going on to another call. So I got to meet with all the leadership all the time and kind of keep it going. And then I coach the leadership is like, you've got to meet with your people ongoing all the time. And you got to keep doing it because we're like squirrels. You get off track. So the reason that we're where we are is going back in with everybody. You had to go design it, build it out, and do all that, like you said. But it seemed like forever when it was happening, but now it seems like a blink of an eye. Right, yeah. But so now you got to go back. And so that's why even when we meet, I'm like, all right, here's what you got to do, and you got to plan. And so you go ahead, you bite the bullet, you take the losses to get ahead for everybody else, to go back and bring them through, right? But you got to go through the wall first, and the first one through the wall gets bloody. That's what they say. And so I've taken my beatings so that everybody else can have a smoother path, and that's the plan, and it keeps getting better. And what I know now compared to what I knew 6 months ago, a year ago, 5 years ago, it's crazy. But what clicks, the click you asked about, it doesn't click. The click is you don't know. So which means you got to keep growing, keep going. And that's why, what's the question I always ask? What book you reading?
What are you
right?
reading?
What book you reading? So you can keep growing.
We were talking about that in our training today. Like, what are you doing to train?
Yep.
What are you
You've
doing
got
to
to
get
keep
better?
developing and growing to the person. And the faster you get to the person you're supposed to be, to leading where you're supposed to be. So you go from leading a team to leading an office to where what we're doing right now is that there's a lot of juggling and things that goes on, but you realize it's the next level, right? And so that's what happens is the click is, I don't know the next level. I got to keep looking for the next level and what's the problem. And the big thing I looked at, like it's kind of new information. Everybody doesn't really know this, right? But and I ain't going to say what system it is either, but I'm looking at trying to get it where the disruption in this market is how do we get to pay our agents the most commission and give them the most value, right? And so we've added in that plan. We've got a problem of leads. We've got training. We've solved the lead problem. We've solved the training problem. We've solved the technology problem, or so we thought. Yeah. And so now we look at it and we go, okay, well, it's fine. We presented an idea, and the feedback is, hey, we don't like it. Well, that's okay. So we're going to go fix it. So my job every day is with national companies to try and set up distribution to give people what they need and let it be included. Don't go change something and increase the price. That's what too many people do. That's the greedy model. The other model is you go give them more. And that is the culture that we have established. You give them more, but you don't take more. Yeah. And that's what we're trying to set up. So if we get this thing going on, it's going to be good. You probably saw some of it in the Facebook group page.
I did. So, you know what? I was actually looking at it because, I get so busy now I can't even go in there like I used to. But I did come across it the other day, and I was like, huh. And it was actually something we talked about. Yep. Maybe 30 days ago, we were spitballing.
I take the feedback. When somebody's saying, I'm like, I get it. I'm not in the streets, doing deals and stuff like that. I got to give people what they need. So, our mantra in this company is you're either selling something or you're helping somebody that is. There is no middle ground. If you ain't helping somebody that's trying out there beating the street selling, whether you're selling a franchise, selling a buyer, a seller, recruiting an agent, all of those things are sales that have to be done by somebody, and they need the tools. They need the resources, and that's where we are today, is going out and setting up the pieces that were needed for that. But it's your job. That's my job. That's anybody that's in the leadership's job, is to do that, not to just try and go bigger and bigger, but to go and figure out what needs to be fixed and get it better. Yeah.
So you had said something earlier about being the first through the wall. That person has to get bloody. And then you circled back and were saying how you tried something and you got the feedback. A lot of people would take that as failure. Now one thing I always tell people is fail forward. So in going through that and in learning and doing these new things, how would you say failure has shaped your life? Because I'm sure we all go through it,
Well, are you talking personal life failure? Are you talking business failure?
Life in general. Like to me, and this is one thing you taught me, there is no personal and business life. Like it's all just life, It's like we're all just going through it.
So you either win or you learn, right? There's the book. It's Maxwell's book, right? Maxwell's book. You either win or you learn, and that's really what it comes down to. But if you lose and you ain't learning anything how to do it better, then you're failing, and that is the key. And so there's information in all of it. I'm fortunate that I can take in a lot of data and information and process it, and I don't always, my brain's working on it. I'm driving down the road, I don't even have the radio on, so I can think about, hey, they said this, that, or the other, to figure that out. And I go, because if I figure it out, then I win. And so my whole point in that is even the CRM. If the CRM becomes included in it and the agent makes a lot of money, that's something there, right? When we were at Remax, I don't know what we got. I don't know what the deal was. But then you had the franchise company. Then you had the franchisor. And then you had the agent. And I was like, they're taking all something off top and not providing anything. And it's not a knock against their brand or their model, but it's the old way of doing business, the new way. And because the big ships can't turn direction so quick, we are at an advantage, but we have to take the data and learn and do it quickly. And so sometimes that's a loss. We lose in a lot of equations to provide enough value, but in absorbing the amount of people and the amount of volume and the amount of sales, we win in the long run. So
you had just mentioned how your brain is always turning, and you've always been a hustler, and you hustle, really hard.
Remember selling bubble gum in school?
Oh my! All right. So let's just go back to this real quick. So a lot of people who know Ryan say, "Oh, this is Ryan." Da 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 da. They don't realize that he's always been like this. I mean, we were in ninth grade, 9th or 10th grade. He wanted a raft.
Yep.
Wanted a raft.
Me and Byron wanted to go fishing.
Wanted a raft to go fishing in the lake, and his mom wouldn't buy him a raft. So just like every other thing, couldn't, but yeah. It was basically, instead of Ryan saying, my mom can't buy me a wrap, he said, how can I buy a wrap?
I'm going to figure it out.
Yeah. Came to my house. My grandma used to buy the bubble gum in bulk.
Walmart. So you get 88 cents for 4 packs of them. Each one have 5 pieces in it. 10 cents a piece or 50 cents a pack. Double your money.
I was just going into gum, eating gum every day. Ryan's looking at the gum like, oh, I can sell this. Went to it. Dude, you sold so much gum,
thousands
and
of dollars in income.
They outlawed
while I
it.
was at school. So I could do 2 things at once. I could learn and make money at the same time.
And they literally banned people from.
So then we went into contacts, and then we went into candy bars. And pretty much, it didn't matter what it was. Of course, then we got older, and it went into some other stuff that we're gonna leave off the radio.
We're gonna skip on past that part. Yeah. So, but you've always been hustling and. You still like hustle hard. Now I hear people say that all the time. Oh, I'm hustling hard. And I'm like, nah, you just busy. There's a difference between being busy and being productive. But you do hustle hard. What do you do? How do you keep from burning out?
It's funny. One of the things I tell everybody is I do something for me every single day. And everybody's like, oh, that's selfish and whatever. Well, nobody's actually said that. I mean, because normally I don't say it in a circuit where somebody can respond. But I do something for me. So whether that's having a cup of coffee, playing a video game with my son, going and playing tennis, going to the gym, whatever it is, because it allows my brain to turn off on being there for everybody else. But by doing that, it doesn't matter. It can be 5 minutes, 15 minutes. I still got, like we talked about, 168 hours in the week. So if I do a couple hours or something a week that's for me, I don't burn out because I'm looking at that next thing of I don't feel that way. And I get a fulfillment. So like, you got introvert, extrovert kind of thing. I get recharged, introverted when I'm by myself. So I have to have that by myself time. We could be watching TV or whatever it is. I have to have it to recharge, but I actually find fulfillment from what I do with everybody else. Okay. So what I do for everybody else gives me fulfillment. So there's no burnout because I'm not looking at it like I'm a burnout. I look at it like that story, remember the starfish story? Yeah. All the starfish are beached and the guy is throwing them back in the water and somebody comes up and goes, you're wasting your time. You can't save all the starfish. And he said, I made a difference to that one, and to that one, and to that one. And I'm going, I got to hurry up and save all these starfish. Like, I feel like I've been given a purpose, and my purpose is what drives me. You don't burn out doing what you are supposed to do. Like, when you get in that vein of what you're supposed to do, it doesn't feel like work or any of that. I don't know. It's complicated. When you work hard for something you don't love, then that feels like a job, and that's a burnout thing. So you got to get passionate about it. Got to get a vision for it and find your purpose.
Well, that's one thing. I know you've always been about helping other people and bringing other people up and making a difference, which to me speaks of culture, and that's something that I've looked to instill in my team, and that's something that's so huge here. I remember for a long time it was we used to say it all the time, people come for the money, but they ended up staying for the culture. Right. When did you realize how important culture truly was in a business?
Remember when I met Lonnie? Remember what I was doing? Church softball team, right? Yeah. Well, you learn in church that it ain't about you. It's about serving others and helping others. Jessica mentioned that story earlier. I remember doing that, but I wasn't doing that for any purpose. But when she said it, it made a trigger in my mind that I realized I was texting her to say, I have an extra vehicle. Do you want it? Yeah. And she'd probably no, or maybe felt awkward, or whatever. Probably was just trying to get through, the situation of it. But I was looking at that and I was like, because that's what I would want someone else to do for me, right? And so we don't have enough of that in the world or in the culture of things. And the worst part is sometimes we get so busy, we miss those opportunities. And that is normally where I look back and feel like I fail. It's like, because as you move into different directions, those kind of statements or things happen and you don't get to do it as much. So what you have to do is lead and bring the next people along to having them do that. That is culture. It's not when one person does it. It's when the next person follows along, and that's important to them. And they realize that that's valuable, that the people you work with are the people that you're going to see more than probably your own family, So you need to do for them. They have to be the people that you're willing to do that. And the hard part is, this is the worst part. When we went through all this growth and all this stuff, it took all of my residual cash that I had sitting around. It took every bit of money that I had to do it. So when people needed things, I had to say no. But they look at the big resource center and all this and go, oh, he's got all this. And I'm like, no, that represents the money I don't have, not the money I do have, right? And so they'd be like, oh, can you just pay for this and do this? And I'm like, looking at the P&L going, and then Randy would go, And I go, okay. And I would do it, and the thought of it was, here's what would happen. I'd either pay this $100 for something that really wasn't my fault or nothing or whatever, or I would lose the person because they would think that I was being stingy.
Yeah.
And that was the dilemma I was always in the growth pattern of it, because if I just stay back and we just have one office, there wouldn't be opportunities for the other people, right? But at the same time, I'd have money to help all the people that would have been in that box. This is the power struggle that goes on in the deciding, do you really want what it's going to cost you?
Yeah. So over the years, man, I mean, obviously you've learned a lot. I've seen the change. You know, I've been there from the whole time. So I remember when you were the kid in school and the plumber, from the team to the team lead and broker owner, all that stuff.
So when I was homeless and you let me live in your house, you forgot that part, didn't you?
Well, yeah, there was that part, but that's what we do. Again, I think it goes back to that culture piece. It's just doing, you know. But then look, what was it? 10 years after that, you reached back out to me, and so here's one of the things about us that I've always loved about our friendship. We have that type of friendship where, I mean, we talk now on a regular, but at then, it may have been a couple years and we didn't see each other, but you would just reach out and call, and we would just pick right back up, or we just connect, and there it goes. So just with all the stuff you've been through, all the stuff we've seen over these past 26 years, what would you say the greatest lesson you've ever learned is?
That's a tough one. Wait, I don't know if that was on the list of questions you were going to ask for me to plan. All right, now I'm starting to feel how Jessica was feeling. The greatest lesson.
Or to date, to say, because like you say, you never stop learning. So.
Gosh, oh, man. A whole bunch of ideas and things go through my head. I can't
just
name
pick one.
I can't name one. I mean, as it pertains to business and how it would maintain
overall,
is lead with profit.
Okay.
You know, but it makes it where it's money related, but it's not. It's decisions to everybody else. If you get overstretched and in the negative and overextend yourself, you can't help. It's like getting on the airplane and they say put the respirator on yourself before you help other people, because if you pass out, you can't help everybody else. And so that is it's a big key. And, you know, I don't like it to make it money centric, because it's not about that. Having a purpose bigger than you is important, you know, but you can't help anybody if you can't sustain yourself.
Yeah.
And that is the genesis of that.
It's the lesson. It's definitely not just a money thing, you know. Money's just the tool, you know. It's the, like you said, the lesson around the tool, and learning that over these years and applying that. I mean, honestly, I think that's how I've got our team to where we are. You know, we lead with profit. You know, we don't utilize debt. We're not running our company on credit cards.
It's $300 million debt free.
We're debt free. And we're utilizing the same tools.
Right.
We're not, you know, doing our marketing and stuff on credit cards. We're working with what we have, and if we don't have it, we don't do it.
That's
you know.
That's right.
So, man, I could talk to you forever. We could go for days, but just I always learn something from you. So every time we always kind of finish our talks with this. And it's funny too, because people see that, oh, they're friends, they've been friends forever. But what they also don't realize is that our relationship has transcended to where you're like a mentor. Even though you're my friend, you're my best friend, when it comes to business, you're still a business mentor. And we still meet on a monthly basis, at least once a month. And like I said, I always leave. It's generally the last thing. And so let's just, since we're going to wrap it up, let me go ahead and let's leave something for them. What are you learning right now? Ooh.
Well, what I'm learning right now, see, and I always try and do it where I'm trying to think of what I can answer that's going to be a value to somebody else is, but how can I get smaller so that I can get bigger?
Yeah.
And that is what I'm working on right now. How do I get skinnier and more focused on something so that I can expand instead of being too far wide, too complicated, you know, overdoing it, trying to take on too many things? How do I really laser beam focus it in to something small? And it can mean even how do I lower the expense to somebody else, but increase the cost, or increase the value, you know, but that can mean getting smaller. And that's what I mean by getting smaller and what we're offering, what we're doing and things like that. But yeah, and there's an exciting thing going on for me right now is, you go through in any entrepreneur, you kind of go through these cycles. You've probably seen the pic where it's like, oh, today, great. Oh, that was failing. I hate this stuff. I'm going back to get a job, and all that goes on.
I tell people all the time, being in business is like being in an abusive relationship
It
at times.
is.
You wake up and you love them. By 12 o'clock, you want to leave, know?
But, we've had a couple things going on even here locally. And, normally it would have been things that would have been catastrophic or worrisome. And I'm like, I'm not. Somebody asked me this, said, how are you staying on task and all these other things? And I was like, because I now know what we're doing is valuable. Yeah. Before it was create something and you're like, so just imagine you're making the iPhone, but before everybody bought it, you're making $1,000 phone. Is anybody going to pay $1,000 for this phone? Kind of thing. And now we can't live without it. We don't leave home without it.
Right.
It doesn't, because consumers want it and will wait in line for it, and the value that comes in it. And so when you get to that place in business where you start to realize you're attracting what you thought you would attract, but you didn't know you would, that is an exciting place to be, because it's almost you get a power before I need you. And now it turns the tables a little bit, and they're going, no, I want what you have. And that is a powerful thing. If you can get to that level in business, I never had that experience before, but if you can get to that level in business, it is an emotional euphoria that really just takes off in your life and your business, and it exudes through all the other things because you didn't know, you weren't sure, and it keeps changing, day by day is how much value you're going to be able to give.
Man, it's just so much good stuff. Like I said, I could do this all day. We're gonna have to have you come back, man. This is just the tip of the iceberg.
Can I add one more piece?
Go ahead.
So Jessica didn't answer this before, but so the reason that she ended up joining the team was because when we first were talking and we did the interview, I did the interview at that point in time. The reason she had joined us was because she said, it's business, but it always is personal, right? And so, we were just talking about different things, and I'm not going to go into the detail of it, but there was an outside challenge that was going on, and I have been through that challenge before, right? And I said, why don't you do this? Why don't you check out this book? Now, I don't even think I gave it to her. I think I just told her about it. Maybe I gave it to her, but she went and she read it. So there's always a telltale thing. If she hadn't read it, she wouldn't be here today.
Yeah.
But she picked up the book and she read it and she utilized the skills that were in that book. And it was How to Win Friends and Influence People. And I still remember this to this day. And that was years ago, but that book changed my life. I think it made an effect and an impact on her life, and she came because of that. Now, what happened with the car and whatever, all of those were just byproducts, and that's where she's placing the thing, but it started with that book, and that changed in her life and the impact it does to her and everybody that she's with. So, but anyway, that book's good, so anybody that hasn't read it needs to read it, but at the same time, every leader needs to read it and then pass it out so that you can be able to impact the other people, because like you said earlier, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. You can just take what somebody else, if everybody's buying it, everybody's reading it, you probably should give it to somebody. So.
That's it. Man, Ryan, I know you got a lot of stuff to do. I appreciate you taking the time.
Yeah, man, my pleasure. I'm proud of what you guys are doing, man. It's exciting. It's exciting to watch and see. So,
hey,
good
we're
job.
just doing what I've known, what I came up in, and we're just, I'm still following the original plan. We go from team to independent to build your own team. Together, everybody wins.
Why do you think other people aren't doing it? They trust the process.
That's you just stumped me. You got. Hey, look, I say it all the time. I tell everybody on our team, you just trust the process. It's hard because a lot of people will focus just on outcomes.
You think they think they're not good enough? You think they're not good enough? You think self-esteem or the way they look at themselves really plays a part?
I think a lot of people have that feeling. I go through it now. I've just kind of was fighting with it myself a couple weeks ago, where it was like,
we all do.
Imposter syndrome. Am I supposed to be here? Am I really doing what I think I'm doing or what people say we're doing? And that is the tough part. But, sometimes you just got to dig deep, reflect, and go back to it. Trust the process.
Everybody's capable if they put in the effort. And it's the challenging part as a leader is when you see people, it's like a bird that can fly and soar through the air with a broken wing. And it's not flying, and you go, what a shame. It's a shame that they're not up there doing what they could be doing, and you wonder why. What's broken in there? If you can go in and find out what's broken and fix it, you're going to see a lot of people soar to levels that you have, and that's the fun part. That's the exciting part of the business when they do that. Sorry. All right.
See? No, it's all good. This is how we always end our stuff. You always drop. We're talking about something else, and then you just drop a nugget, and I take it, and I stew over it for 2 weeks or maybe a week, and then we implement it, and we go and we come back the next week, and it's like, dang. I didn't realize I was here till just now. We're reflecting back on it. So, I know you got stuff to do, man. I'm going to let you go. But, hey, appreciate it. We're definitely going to have you come back and drop some more because, look, we do this all the time. Mm-hmm. I think if everybody else can see what I see, then maybe more people will reach out and do it. So.
This is a vision of us doing this I had for years now. And, I don't have the capability of doing it, man. But I'm excited you put this in place and you did it. And us sitting here doing this, it's exciting for me. So I'm proud of what you guys are doing.
I love it, man.
All right,
Ryan, thanks, bro. Hey, guys, thanks for checking out our latest episode of the podcast. Make sure you subscribe so you can catch all of our new episodes. If you want to go back and catch some of the old episodes, click the link.